Hi, this is Dr. John Whitcomb telling you about vitamin K2 in your brain. People haven't heard much about vitamin K2. We've heard a lot about K1 because it's all about blood clotting. And you make lots of K1 in your gut. So we actually thought that we had enough because we made enough of it. Now, the first clue that K1 is a problem, or K2 is a problem, is a black box warning that comes along with Coumadin and pregnant women. And there's pretty good evidence that if you're pregnant, your baby's going to be badly damaged, and most of the time it's with central nervous system injury if you're taking Coumadin. And Coumadin's the drug that blocks K1. We've known that for a long time. But behind the scenes for the last 50 years, there have been researchers looking at what does K2 do in the central nervous system. And there's pretty good evidence it has a lot to do with building up your sphingolipids in the brain, which are critical structural proteins. There's been that kind of stuff. We haven't figured out what it has to do with humans. Now, in the last 5 or 6 years, there have been a bunch of sort of bench sorts of studies done, and much of it overseas, not in America, that looks at folks who have Alzheimer's disease and cognitive decline. Now, for those of you who are pretty sharp in your advancing ages, this may not be for you. But for those of us who lose our car keys and can't remember why we're going from one room to the next and occasionally forget anything that was asked of us, cognitive decline is a big problem as we get older. We want to keep our brains as sharp as we can. Well, if you look at folks with Alzheimer's disease and with early Alzheimer's, early cognitive decline, and compare their level of K2 to normal folks, you'll find that folks with Alzheimer's disease have half to 2/3 of the K2 in their blood that folks with normal brains do. And that can be completely correlated with the amount of green vegetables they're eating. They're not getting good green vegetables in their diet. You can also look at models like animal models, like with Sprague Dolly rats, and putting them through mazes, and take some baby rats and feed them good amounts of K, some medium amounts of K, and some very low amounts of K, and then see how well they do on finding their way through mazes. And what you'll find is that the rats that didn't get an adequate K can't find their way. And the ones who get lots of K do a great job as they get older. They learn, they get faster and faster as days go by, and so they show that the K does have an ability to modulate their learning and hang on to what they have learned. What will work for me? This seems to have big implications. You need to consider vitamin K2 is one of our critical brain health vitamins. You need to take it every day. If you aren't eating enough green vegetables, and maybe we're too low even with what we're eating, our standard American diet is just filled with risks because most of our animals have moved off of the pasture where K comes from and onto feedlots. So it just isn't in our food chain. Think about how you can get more K2 in your diet. My advice, at least 45 micrograms a day, each and every day, maybe as much as 100 of MK4, because that's what we seem to have dominant in our diet. MK7, which is from natto, may not be as active. We just don't know. Now, this is Dr. John Whitcomb wishing you the best and good health and hoping you stay alert and awake as you get older.